and gentlemen, Mountain West Media Summit continues now, and we are being joined by Mr. Brett Rypien, quarterback for Boise State. Brett, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, so this year, of course, Boise State plays Fresno State. Will this be your first time going into Bulldog Stadium?
This will be, yeah. I wasn't there. What was it? 2 years ago.
2 years ago, right?
We played, so this will be my first time seeing them, watching film on them. So, a couple teams from the West that I haven't seen that we've had some history with, Fresno and San Diego. So
yeah, and have they mentioned to you about how hostile Fresno can be, or the walk down the ramp as the fans are,
Yeah, I've definitely heard stories, and I've heard it's a very hostile environment to play in, and I think that's great for college football, and I think that's great for the Mountain West.
And let's talk about last season. You threw for over 3,600 yards, 24 TDs, only 8 interceptions. And when you sit on the table and the coaches say, "How can you improve?" How can you improve from that when it's such a phenomenal season?
I think just being a better leader for us, and being a more consistent guy. I think every single week, because at the end of the day, we didn't accomplish our goal, and that's to win the Mountain West and win the Mountain Division first and foremost. So that's something that we've emphasized a lot over this past off season, and something that I want to take the next step in my game with.
And you alluded to that. I mean, how disappointed were you and the rest of coaching staff and players when you lost to Baylor in the bowl game and losing 2 consecutive games to end the season?
Yeah, no, it was definitely not the way we wanted to finish our season. Especially after playing so well all season. Barely losing to Wyoming by 2 points. We were 9 points away from being undefeated in the regular season. And really, it was only a couple plays here and there that held us back from getting to where we wanted to be. But that's what you remember. You remember those bad plays, and you want to learn from them and come back stronger next year.
Now, yourself, of course, we got Josh Allen from Wyoming, Nick Stevens at Colorado State. A lot of quarterbacks in this league. Do you think that the Mountain West is a quarterback league? Is it a quarterback league?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's definitely starting to head that way. Starting with you go back to the days of Kellen Moore, obviously, and then Derek Carr at Fresno a couple years ago. Grayson Lambert at Colorado State. We've had a lot of good quarterbacks come out of this conference, and I think it's only continuing to grow. And with all the talent that we have, I think now in the conference, I think it not only is good for obviously the teams, but the entire conference as well. Getting some national exposure. Josh projected to be a first-round pick next year, if not the first overall pick. So that's something I think that is great for the conference, and will only continue to help it grow.
What about you? You have any aspirations to be a first-round pick, or to maybe even match Josh? And I know he was predicted to finish a preseason offensive MVP, but you were. You're up there in the offensive categories. Do you have like a little friendly rivalry with Josh?
Yeah, I think so for sure. I mean, it's not like I definitely like the guy. I mean, he's a very, very nice guy, and got a chance to hang out with him and Nick last night, and just kind of talk with them. And really wasn't even about football; it was just mostly about life and stuff. So. Those are both unbelievable guys, and I think with all the hype that Josh has been getting, it's been definitely deserved. But at the same time, it motivates me, I think, for sure to step up my game and get to where I want to be.
Now, were you close to like Josh was close to declaring to go to the NFL? Were you in that position, or were you just gonna stick to playing 1 year more at Boise State?
Well, I wasn't draft eligible. I was only a true sophomore last year, so so I obviously wasn't thinking about that. But I'm hoping I can finish out my whole 4 years here, and I still think I have a lot of work to do here to get to where I'm ready for the pro level. So that's something that I definitely realize, and I'm looking forward to these next 2 years.
Now let's talk about the Mountain Division that you're in. Very, very brutal stretch of games that you guys have in the Mountain Division. And there's one team in particular that has had your number the past few years, Coach Harson's Air Force. Is there something about Air Force that, Boise State, cannot overcome, or is it just a matter of just a bad day, the times you guys played them?
Well, you know what? That's a great question because, obviously we haven't got the job done against them the last couple of years, and I think that they play a very aggressive and disciplined style of football. And, going into the last 2 years, I thought we had really, really good plans against them, not only my freshman year, but last year as well. And, both years have been kind of similar games. We came out hot, scored within the first play, scored the first play my freshman year, scored on the second play my sophomore year. And, from there, never really got the ball rolling. Got off to a really bad start and, tried to make a comeback late and, lost on 1 yard last year. So, that's definitely something that, is emphasized around, Boise because we haven't got the job done against them the past 3 years. So it's, I think a challenge that, again, we look forward to.
And a couple last things before we let you go. Obviously, Boise State, Fresno State has a rivalry going on with the milk can. Anything that you want to, think about. I know it's the last game of the season, but anything that milk can. I know it's fairly new. It's kind of odd because Fresno State and Boise State don't really play each other every year.
Right.
But how is that? I mean, where is that milk can? I don't even know where that milk can is. I mean, is it somewhere in the basement in Boise or?
Yeah. You know what? That's a good question because I think it's around our facility somewhere, and it's something that I think has grown over the past few years, especially with how many conference championships I think we've played against each other, and with the rivalry I think that's been built. So I think it's something that's only going to continue to grow. It's unfortunate we don't get to play Fresno every single year because I think that'd be a really good rivalry for us. But, it's going to be a great game, and I'm looking forward to it.
And lastly, before we let you go, what are the expectations for yourself and the rest of Boise State for 2017 season?
I think just first of all winning our division. I think first is the thing I've been focusing on, and really honing in on those non-division games and winning all those, and then from there focusing on the conference, and then if we're fortunate enough to be in a position to go to a New Year's Six bowl.
Awesome. Thank you so much.